Hey, what's going on, everybody? Back again with another video. Again, we are continuing with our theme of approach in chess or style, right? Um, the lessons, if you have not been keeping up with the videos, are geared toward getting you to develop an approach or overriding philosophy and style toward your chess games. That way, your openings will be consistent with each other across the board. In other words, you shouldn't play, King's Gambit. Uh, if you're not like you don't like chaotic positions. You know, if or play King's Gambit against e4 and then say against a Sicilian play Rossalimo or something like that, right? Besides having to learn just vastly different positions, they just don't, it's just not consistent, and I think a lot of players do that unknowingly. Like they'll play, they just figure it's good, or they have a favorite grandmaster and they figure, okay, Carlson is playing this, let me try that. I'll play the Trompowsky, and then they lose with the Trompowsky and they switch openings and they're like, okay, I'm gonna play the London system, right? And they just bounce around and don't really have an overriding approach toward the game. So I've been making these videos to show you how different players over time have had different approaches. And when I say approach or style, I mean it's overriding style. Of course, any world championship player or any strong grandmaster is going to master, right, and be proficient in all facets of the game, of course, right? Even Tao, who's known for attacking, right, that's his approach, right? He was a master endgame player, of course. Was that his greatest strength? No. Botvinnik showed that in the 1961 match. That wasn't his forte, right? Playing with queens off the board, again, that wasn't his forte, all right? But he could do it, right? So when I say approach or style, I'm talking about your overriding characteristic, right? When players mention you, hey, how does, John Doe play? What's his style like? Oh, man, John Doe's, he's crazy. He's an attacking player. You see? It's like a overriding characteristic. Yeah, that guy sack a piece in a minute, Or, Susie Q, how does she play? Oh man, she's just like super calm. She plays King's Indian attack, and she just wants to just build up a quiet position and just win a pawn and take some squares here and there and win a nice end game. These are approaches, and what you want to do is take these approaches and make sure that each opening, right, you have a similar approach, and it all locks in together. All right, whether you're playing against the Pyrrhic, whether you're playing, for instance, for example, if you're playing, say, King's Gambit against e4, you should have an equally aggressive opening against the Pyrrhic, right? Maybe you should play Austrian attack against the Pyrrhic, an Austrian attack against the modern, right? You should have aggressive continuations against, French, aggressive continuations against Caro-Kann, etc. All right, let's get into it. So we're looking at the Geller Spassky match from 1965. Again, I'm not going to get deep into analysis, right? We're just talking about general approach. The last video I did, we looked at the Geller-Smyslov match, candidates match in 1965, and Geller won that match. It was an 8-game match, and he won 3 games, right, without loss, to defeat Smyslov in that match. And we saw a definite contrast in approach, right? Smyslov was more quiet, positional player, right, a la Kramnik, right, and Geller, like attacking player. He's on Team Tao, right? He's on the aggressive side. Kasparov, Alekhine, he's falling into that side of things, right? Now, what's interesting about this match, right? Actually, the winner of this match, the Geller Spassky, will play for the World Championship against Petrosian. What's interesting about the approach of these two players is that they're basically mirrors of each other, right? They both possess similar styles. It's not like one's a positional guy and one's more of a attacking guy. They both have the same approach to the game. They have, of course, universal players, but their overriding style is, more like of an aggressive nature. So in that case, it's a matter of who does it better, right? Who's better, Geller or Spassky, when it comes to aggression at the board? And this is what this match, um, went on to prove. Before I get started, I just want to say that Chess Audiobooks is on Lichess and chess.com. So come play me there. Come be my friend. And also join me on social media, Twitter and Instagram. Also, I look forward to seeing you guys there. And get in those comments below. Hit the like, subscribe, all that stuff like that. And help a brother out. In the donation link. And also check videos. And check my channel for more great content on all things related to chess. So, here's game one. And we see Geller Spassky start out Nimzo Indian. And this gives us an idea of the approach of both players. I told you already that they were both very similar in their approach. But it's a contest of who can do it better. Both aggressive players. And you can see here that Spassky is not afraid to play with isolated pawns. And this is very important because Spassky was one of the grandmasters to bring back the Terrace defense to the Queen's Gambit. This defense had been, put on the dust, the shelf for years and years. And in his 1969 match against Petrosian, he was able to use that success defensively, and it actually inspired Kasparov, who used it throughout his candidate matches up until he played Anatoly Karpov in 1984/85. And you can see here, a dynamic player like Spassky is not afraid to take on the isolated pawns, or in this case, the hanging pawns, because it provides free piece play. There's always trade-offs in chess. Here, isolated hanging pawns, allowing the development to be very easy. Again, Spassky with the black pieces, and you see his pieces are just coming out. He gets rid of the isolated pawn, before it can become a major liability. And this is how the first game went. Again, light analysis here. And you can see both players testing each other tactically in this game. Here ended in a draw. But you can again see the approach by Spassky, that he's showing that, hey, I'm not afraid to go in for these isolated pawn positions. The next game, game two, and don't worry about all my analysis. This analysis from years ago. Of course, it's accurate, but I'm not here to discuss it at this point. But Geller with the black pieces, in response to Spassky's Ruy Lopez, enjoy playing a martial attack. Remember, I told you this guy's an attacking player. And here is Geller employing the old martial here. And this game was important because both players are jockeying for supremacy, and both have a similar approach. And like I said, when it's a situation where both players had the same approach, it comes down to who is able to, to do that approach better here. And I think this game had a profound effect on Geller, because Spassky was able to beat Geller at his own game, so to speak. And so we have this martial attack, and we can see White has this again isolated pawn, but in this case it's extra pawn. And that's why I say it's very important to remember that Spassky was not afraid to, he didn't avoid isolated pawns and such. So here he has an isolated pawn that happens to be an extra pawn, but his pieces are very healthy, like full development. Both players have full development. Again, now it's just a matter of fighting for the initiative here. And this is what both players are doing. And I just want to get to this critical position here. So here on Queen G5, Black decides this is the opportunity to regain the material equality here and snatch this pawn. So what he wants to do is play king g7. The reason why he plays king g7 is because after bishop takes d5 right away, then knight takes rook g6, queen d5, as you can see in my analysis here. So Geller wants to avoid that, so he plays king g7 first. However, again, after the ensuing tactics, queen e7, now bishop takes d5, bishop takes, rook takes, and now we see a fork appear on the board. This forces the exchange out of Geller, and then he goes into an inferior position where Spassky is able to win a critical game 2. And again, so we see two players, same approach, right? Both going in for tactical complications, right? But only one line can be superior. Real quick, game 3, Spassky again with the black pieces, Geller. Whoa. Geller with the white pieces. And again, look at the position that Spassky's going in for. In other words, he's saying, hey, I'm willing to accept isolated pawns. Geller takes him up on that offer. But look at black's peace play. Peace play. And this game would end in a draw also. Spassky was very dynamic. So to me, it's like Spassky was like a more dynamic, was a better version of Geller, right? No knock against Geller, of course. He was just like little bit better. You can see the attacking prowess of Spassky, and this game ended in a draw also. But again, look at the position, right? It's pretty chaotic. In contrast to the match Smyslov-Geller. See, in the Smyslov-Geller match, Smyslov played the English the whole time with the white pieces and never really engaged Geller in complications. It was always Geller attacking Smyslov, Smyslov defending and fighting off attacks, etc. And Geller was always the one pushing. Whereas you can see, Spassky is pushing whether he has the white pieces or the black pieces. I mean, Geller is fighting too, but you can see that Spassky is not afraid of these type of positions. Look at the pawn structure of black. He's not afraid. As long as he has piece activity, he's going for it. So you must ask yourself when considering your approach to chess, is this the type of position that you enjoy playing, or do you mind playing this type of position? Where you have chances, but the position is, just kind of wild. If you don't like this position, then maybe you need to consider, looking at Smyslov or, someone, of that ilk. Game 4, again, another Rui Lopez. This was like basically like a match. Rui Lopez versus like Tarish structure, isolated pawn structures. Again, Spassky with the white pieces. Notice again, Spassky, even with the white pieces, taking the isolated pawn. He gambits pawn. Spassky played really good here. For those of you who don't know, this is kind of like Spassky's. He reaches his peak. He goes into his peak years around this time, like 65 to 69. By the time he played Fischer, he was like past his peak. Not taking anything away from Fischer, but this is Spassky's best time, probably from 65 to 69. If you want to see the best of Boris Spassky. Again, very dynamic play here. This game also ended in a draw. But like I said, I just wanted to show you guys that both players, similar styles, willing to accept these kind of imbalanced positions. Game 5, again, another situation where Spassky is like, hey, I'll take the isolated pawn. But this time, Geller doesn't want to take it. So Spassky is able to equalize rather easily. But again, notice how he has no problems dealing with the double pawns. Right? As long as Spassky has activity, right? He doesn't mind positional concessions as long as he has piece activity. And again, so I ask you out there, like, what's your approach? Would you rather have like more of a solid position? And these are the type of questions you want to ask when choosing your openings, because certain openings are more likely to lead to certain type of positions. And once you choose like your approach, then what's a good thing to do is find a player out there, maybe an old school player, somebody that's retired or not active anymore, and maybe somebody that's presently playing, and look at their repertoire. Like if you can find that, hey, I'm similar to Anand, or I'm similar to Morozevich or somebody like that, or Shirov, look at what they're playing, and just see, and try to follow and pick up, because if you're similar, then you'll probably gravitate to what those guys are playing. Is game 6. Another Rui Lopez, Spassky, the white pieces. And after that loss in the Marshall, Geller has switched over to these, I don't know what you call it, it's like floor Zaitsev variations, because I know like the bishop comes to b7, Zaitsev, but he switched his variation in Rui Lopez from the Marshall. And it's had little effect on Spassky. And as you can see, the tactics are, very sharp from Spassky here. Knight g6. Again, you can do a little of your own homework here and figure out why king takes g6 or pawn takes g6 is not acceptable. But knight g5, f takes, and then queen f3. And you see a great attacking player at work. And it's just incredible what Spassky was able to do to a player like Geller, who in the previous candidates match absolutely crushed the former world champion and Smyslov. But Spassky, like I said, was just one more level up above Geller, and he was able to win also. Game 7, again, Spassky willing to take the isolated pawn. And this game would end in a draw. And again, h5, willing to take the chances necessary. And again, Spassky did not mind these positional concessions as long as he was able to have free piece play and activity. All right. Next time we'll look at the World Championship match in 1966. So we're looking at this version of Spassky versus Petrosian. Again, stark contrast in styles, and we'll see what happened. We know, of course, you can look it up and find out that Petrosian, of course, retained his title. This would be his first defense of the title, as he had won it from Botvinnik in 1963. But once we look at the approach of the two players, we'll see what was it about Petrosian that was able to hold back the fierce attacking and dynamic play of Boris Spassky. This right here is the final game of the match, game 8. Geller was down, and so he just went for it. He played Sicilian, first Sicilian in the match, and you could just see Spassky just like really aggressive. He's not trying to hear it, so he plays like this dragon, Yugoslav variation, and trades the bishop off. It's like that old Fischer things, the sack mate scenario. Grabs a pawn. Not afraid of repercussions because the bishop is hanging. They're on e6. Queen takes e5. And that's a major sign too, especially in these matches, is once a player switches his opening, that usually means like this there's some trouble, because he's starting out with his A game. And here, of course, Spassky just transposing into winning endgame. And with that, he won the match in 1965, and then he would go on to play Petrosian. So again, what I was saying is that when a player is forced to switch openings, that's a big sign, because he's starting out the match with his A game. So here is Geller playing Rui Lopez the whole time, and then all of a sudden he's playing. Now he's a Sicilian player. That means that he had some problems that he couldn't solve in that opening against Spassky, and now he's going to his B grade opening, hoping that maybe Spassky's not prepared there, or he can maybe turn the tides. Right, it's possible. But here he wasn't able to do it, and Spassky just like ran him over. But again, the approach is what we're talking about. And again, you see two players with similar styles, and when that happens, it just comes to a matter of who can do it better. And in our next video, we're gonna look at the match between Spassky and Petrosian, 1966. Again, these players don't have the same style. Very similar. I mean, very contrasting styles, which make for an interesting match. We're gonna go through that rapidly, and like I said, hopefully these videos help you determine your opening repertoire and your general approach to chess. Ask yourself, am I an attacking player? Am I positional? If those questions are too hard, ask yourself, what player out there kind of emulates my style the most? Is it like Kramnik? Is it Carlsen? Is it Hikaru? Et cetera, et cetera. Or even ask yourself this: if you had to put players in the category of attacking or positional players, right? Their overriding style, where would you put the players? Like if you made like a little list, attacker, a theoretician, positional, right? Where would you put Hikaru Nakamura? Like where would you put Magnus? Some players are universal, right? They don't have a particular style that stands out, so it's all right. They're a universal player, right? Not that all of them aren't universal. It's just that some players don't really have a certain style that will stand out more than the others. So where would you put Kramnik? Where would you put Shirov? See, if I say Shirov, of course, you older players, you'll be like, yeah, attacking. You think Tao, Shirov. It's Morozevich, same thing. Just like really aggressive players. See, certain players, it's easy to put in those categories. Kasparov. But then if I say Karpov, you start thinking on the positional lines, right? Quiet, right? You lose the game, but you don't know why you lost. That kind of player. So Smyslov, Karpov, right? Capablanca, Kramnik, right? Those type of lines. So that's what you want to do, is you want to find a player that kind of you would like to emulate, or that kind of fits your style, and then look at their games, and improve, from there. Maybe even steal their repertoire. So that's it for this video, guys. I love to hear from you in the comments box, and let me know what you think and what your approach is. Like, what kind of player are you? All right. So with that said, please like, subscribe, hit all the buttons, hit me on social media, join me on Chess, chess.com, and I'll see you guys soon on the next video when we discuss Spassky and Petrosian, 1966.